Hello. Good evening. How's everybody doing this evening? I'm gonna give some time for some people to log on and to come into the broadcast. If you are coming in, can you let me know if you can hear me pretty good? Let me know if you can hear me so I know that I have a good connection. Was trying to do a couple tests earlier today to make sure everything was going to go smoothly, and we're having some difficulties with that. So if you are coming into the live stream, just let me know that you are here and that you can hear me. Okay, thank you, Jason. Gonna give some more people some time to come in before we get started here. I hope you had a good week so far. So, what we are discussing, or what I have titled this broadcast, and you may hear my 6-month-old every now and then in the background giving her amens, is what I like to say. She is going to be a scholar. However, the whole purpose of this series, Get Out, the Power of the Mind in Media, is to bring awareness to what is kind of going on, right now in our world, and not just that, but to also, introduce or reintroduce to you all just how powerful the mind really is. Because I don't think we are aware of it based on traditions and things that we have been taught. We're not really aware of, just how powerful the mind is and just how powerful the media is. But if you look at, the world around you and what's going on, something is definitely working, right? Because, we see so many people, we are up in arms. There's a lot of fear in people. There's a lot of anger, a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion. And a lot of that has to do with the things that we see on the media and how it affects us, or infiltrates our lives. And I pay attention, I observe different things on social media in terms of people's reactions and comments towards certain events, or things that are being circulated through social media. And I don't think a lot of us have a clue. I don't think a lot of us have a clue what it is that is actually going on. So that is the whole purpose of this series, the Get Out, the Power of the Mind in Media series. So it's 7 after 7. I'm going to give some people a little bit more time to come in. For those of you who are online, if you would do me the favor and just comment your location, your city and state. If you're not comfortable with doing city, just state, that's fine. Just let me know where you are watching from. I am beginning the online series myself on tonight, just giving, just setting the groundwork, the framework for the series. And Dr. Rick Wallace will be accompanying me on tomorrow night as well as Thursday night. So we're just going to scratch the surface here, but the information that I provide you will give you a base of awareness so that you can begin to identify, hopefully when this is all over with, what is real and what is fake, and also how it affects you. Thank you, Jason, there in New Jersey. And also, how you can take back control of your mind, all right? So let's just go ahead and get started. Get Out. The reason why I titled this series Get Out. How many of you saw the movie Get Out? I think it came out last year. I don't know if it was early fall or when it came out, but I just recently saw the movie. In December. And, when it first came out, there was, a lot of comments about it. Everybody had something to say, and it seemed like it was like really interesting. But, I've just kind of turned myself away from media, so to speak. So I didn't see the movie when it came out, but I was able to catch it in December. And I have to say that the film was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was actually really good. The way it was put together and carried out, the suspense was there from beginning to end, and I thought it was very, very good. There were a lot of messages as well in that movie that, I'm not going to go too deep in for this series, because that's not what this series is about. The series is not about the movie, but from the effect that the media in the film had on the gentleman. I don't recall his name, but it has the same effect on us, and we're not aware of it. But there are several key messages, hidden messages that occurred in that movie that apply to society as a whole, but specifically to the African American community. And I don't think that we are aware of the wars with an S, not singular, with the wars that we are in. And one, I will say specifically, is the organ trafficking. It's serious. And I will say this, and I'm going to get back onto topic. If we really knew the severity of the organ trafficking, like, it wouldn't be no arguing. We ain't got time to be arguing. We really don't. But again, the reason why I took the movie Get Out, and I'm using it as an example here to kind of break this down, because the same effect that the media had on the gentleman in the movie, it has on us, and we are just simply not aware of it, okay? So here's something that I want you to be aware of as we get started. The best thing that you can do to live a healthy life in today's society is to turn the television off. Sometimes you need to make time for yourself and turn the television off. Some of you may have heard that, you know, for some people consider it the tell a lie vision, right? And, you know, ultimately media informs us. So, you know, that was the entire purpose of it. But lately, you know, not only does it inform, but it can also, you know, control if you allow it to. If you allow it to, all right? And so turn the TV off. You know, schedule some time to yourself, go outdoors, do something else besides, you know, sitting in front of the screen, besides on the phone, scrolling on the social media. You know, so not only do we have, you know, the big screen, but we also have another string, which is social media. So not only are we getting hit with what's in the news and what's circulating here, but also what's going around social media and circulating from, you know, this friend to that friend. So we're just getting hit from all ways, all areas. And the best thing that you can do is give yourself a break. I took this so serious that for the past 4 to 5 years, I did not own cable. Didn't own cable because, you know, at the point that I noticed that it was so much that was going on in the media, I just didn't want to hear it, because if you're not careful and you're consuming all of this information, all of this bad news and things that are happening, it can really take a toll on you and take an effect on you. And that is what we see happening a little bit today in society, all right? So turn it off, take a break, you know, you can do without. All right, so whenever I saw the movie Get Out, I immediately thought of the scripture, and you might be familiar with it, but I heard very clearly, come out from her, come out from her, come out from her. And that's what actually drew me to watch the movie. And afterwards, you know, just kind of put things in a bigger perspective as to what is, you know, happening to us here. And that scripture is actually in Revelation. You know, some of you may have heard it. And it has, you know, some people translate it as different meanings, but for the purpose of this series, you know, it's so much going on, so much chaos here that we really, literally need to just step outside of it, like step away from it. And we need to come back to ourselves because it has gotten to a point where it is literally taking control of our lives. And so what I want you to know is that your mind is very, very powerful. Your mind is very, very powerful. And we think, yes, it is complex. The mind is complex. However, it is so easy for you to obtain a thought and for it to manifest in your life. So easy, to the point that we don't even realize it. We don't understand the power that rests here. We don't understand it. We don't know how to properly apply it and properly use it in our lives. And I'm hoping that by the end of this series that you will have a better understanding of how to use your mind, you know, to live a better and stress-free, worry-free life, okay? So, if you ever saw the movie Get Out, then the scene where he was at the other end of the table and the mom was there at the other end and he was sitting in the chair. And apparently she was psychologist or hypnosis, and she wanted to hypnotize him for the sake of quitting a habit of smoking. All right. And so he had no idea, no recollection of what was actually occurring. Just like you and I walking around society and all of these things are going around us, we have no idea of what is going on. But there that woman was at the other end of the table, and she was actually sitting there with her teacup and just moving the spoon around very slowly. And she was actually putting him under, and he had no idea whatsoever what was going on. And then she was asking him questions. She was asking him questions concerning his pastime, his childhood, what had happened to him that caused this habit. And so he shared the experience with her little by little, not knowing what was happening. And if you recall the scene, as he was sitting there in the chair, he closed his eyes, so he's going under, right? And she asked the question, what happened? And he told her, I was sitting there, I was just watching TV one evening, all right? And he's literally thinking this in his mind. He's present. He's present here, right? He was present there at the table. But literally his mind was so powerful that it took him to another place. All right. It took him back to that place where he was a little child sitting there in front of the television. And that was the image that was displayed to us. All right. And the producer did a really good job of, making that realistic for us, allowing us to be there at the same time. So he's sitting there and he's watching TV, and we see his shadow. And then at some point he gets up and he goes to the telephone, because the thought came to his mind that, something is wrong, right? Something is wrong with his mother. And so I guess he had made the phone call or something, and either some people came to the house. I don't recall every single detail, but either some people came to the house or they confirmed that, something had happened to his mother. So that scene itself was so powerful, that what it was that she was doing, she put him under hypnosis. But his thought, his mind, him speaking, he was actually speaking the experience, and it took him back to that place. All right. And we saw that, it was something that happened some time ago for him, but we saw that, right? So he thought it, and his feelings had confirmed that something was wrong. And so the same way in which we saw this scene play out is the same way in which our mind works for us as individuals and via media. It works the same way. It works the same way. I'm going to try to break this down for you the best that I can. So via individual, okay, here, via individual, all right? If you can think a thought, all right, be it good or be it bad, if you can think a thought, all right, in your mind, and if you can build your emotions around it, and by building your emotions around it, you are causing yourself to believe it. To believe it. That's your subconscious mind. Once your conscious mind accepts a thing or accepts a thought, then your subconscious mind then manifests it. Your subconscious mind will manifest whatever thought that you think about the most, all right? So if you are thinking about, something negative, then your subconscious mind is going to accept that, whatever that thought is going to accept that, and it's going to manifest it. It's going to bring it to pass. And I'm not sure if, any of you that are on right now, if you had tuned in a couple weeks ago, I did another live stream, and I had shared with the audience how easy it is to manifest something in your relaxed state. In your relaxed state of mind. It's so easy to manifest something. The reason being is because whenever you're calm and you're relaxed and you are, thinking a thought, there is nothing to block that thought. There's nothing to block that thought. Okay, so let's just say this. Let's just say, you know, the end of the year, I'm going to buy a Jaguar or something of the nature. Okay, let's just say that. End of the year, I'm going to buy a Jaguar. And if all year I'm thinking about that thought, if, you know, every other day, you know, I'm looking at the, you know, different types of Jaguars, you know, I'm trying to figure out what color it is that I want. Okay. And then at some point I start to go to the Jaguar dealership and look around and see, you know, maybe even sit in, right? So all of this that I'm doing, all of these tasks that I'm doing and building up behind my thought are forming an emotion, are forming feelings, all right? To the point that now my subconscious mind has accepted what I said to be true. All right. Remember, I said that I'm going to own a Jaguar. I'm going to buy a Jaguar by the end of the year. All right. So by doing these tasks, by going to the dealership, by looking at the Jaguar types, picking a color in my mind, by envisioning myself, you know, behind the wheel, my daughter in the back seat, you know, and we're traveling on the road. By doing this repetitively, my subconscious mind then accepts it to be true and will act on it, and it will manifest. It will appear. That is how powerful your mind is. That's how powerful your mind is. And we take for granted because, and it's not that we take it for granted. Many of us, we just have no clue. We don't have any understanding of it. You know, we were force-fed, you know, certain ideas, certain thoughts, and we just have no clue. We have no clue. But I'm hoping that this will bring an awareness to you all to understand, you know, not just how complex, but how fragile your mind is at the same time, how easily impressed it is, and how powerful it is, so that, you know, you can take control of your life and, you know, begin to live a life that you desire, literally. Okay, now here we go via media. All right, so I just showed you how that's seen, how it can play out, how you can use it to your benefit in your own individual life. All right, now here we go via media. All right, here is how it plays out in the media. Listen, so how many of you guys remember, I think it was December 31st, the year of 1999. How many of you guys remember that time? I think I was maybe I was 12, I think 12 or 13 or something during that time. And so what I remember is, you know, there was something in the news, in the media saying that, you know, all the computers were going to crash, and you know, everybody was trying to stockpile canned goods and everything of that nature. You know, after midnight, you know, the world was going to end, right? How many of y'all remember that? But after midnight, nothing happened. Nothing happened. Nothing happened, right? But we saw it enough in the media, or we heard about something that was going to happen, so much to the point that we literally allowed it to infiltrate our lives. Okay, here's another example, right? Let's just say, you know, the news is informing us that the moon is going to fall out of the sky on December 25th, and you know, we're all going to die. We're all going to die, right? Okay, hey, let me say this. Hey, for everybody that's commenting, I'm kind of far away and I can't see it that well, but I do see your comments there. If you have any questions about anything, I will answer those at the end, but I just want you to know that I'm not overlooking anything that's being typed, but I will address those at the end of the video, okay? So, for my second example, let's say the news was telling us that the moon was going to fall out of the sky and that we were all going to die. All right. So here we are, January 23rd. So, you know, maybe the first time that I hear this story, I'm be like, what? Like, what are they? Okay. I'm going to brush it off, you know, because I have a certain mindset where, you know, you can't just tell me anything, expect me to believe it, you know, or I might do some research and just find out what in the world they're talking about, okay? All right, so let's just say I hear it for the 5th time, you know, then I'm going to be like, okay, all right. By the 15th time, my mind is probably changing about what is being told to me, all right? Maybe I'm starting to get concerned about it, you know. Here it is, we're in January, so I have the end of the year to live my life, so guess what I'm going to do? You know, me and my daughter, we're going to go out the country a few times. You know, I might go and spend my inheritance. You know, you're going to make decisions regarding your life and how you live it, how you interact based on what you're being told, based on this, the moon is falling out of the sky story, right? So you're like, okay, I don't have time. I need to do this. I need to do that. That is how the media affects us in the same way, affects our mind in the same way. We hear the thought, we heard the storyline, all right? We might not have necessarily believed it the first time, but by the 5th or 6th time, you know, that we heard it, our feelings or our emotions are changing about that thought that has been conceived, that has been said to us, that has been spoken. So at this point, we are starting to accept that, okay, this might be true. So at that point, then, you know, we start to see it manifest through our feelings, through our lives, and how we interact based on this storyline. So I want you to be aware of that when it comes to the headlines of blackouts, when it comes to the headlines of, you know, war here and war there. You know, we've seen the threat of war with China and other countries, and what is happening, right? But yet and still, because we're hearing the thought, people are frantic. People are, you know, they're going crazy. And because of that, because they're going frantic, because they're going crazy, it is affecting their day-to-day and how they interact with people, you know, going to work, you know, how they are at home with their families, you know, the decisions that they decide to make and everything. So, like I said, tonight I'm hoping to just provide you some foundation, just set some foundation, because we're going to go deeper into this tomorrow. You really don't want to miss tomorrow. Well, none of the nights, honestly. But you really don't want to miss tomorrow, because we're really going to go deep and show you just how much and what has actually been going on and how it is playing on us, not only as a country, but worldwide. Okay? So as I was saying, you know, that is just the power of media, and that is the power that it has on our minds. It can literally feed us anything, and we will believe it. It'll feed us anything, and we will believe it. You know, how many of us actually do research when somebody tells us something? You know, be it the media or you know, news or reporting, or be it a friend, you know, somebody that we talk to on the job. You know, how many of us actually research what is being told and being said to us? The majority of us probably don't. You know, either, you know, some of us will choose to believe it, or some of us are like, whatever, you know, they're crazy, or whatever the case may be. But just be it's important. Research is very important. And even whenever I speak before you guys, one of the things that I always say or always encourage is for everybody to do their own research. Just don't take my word for it, because it becomes much more real and much more true whenever you do it for yourself. Okay? So, as I was saying before, your subconscious mind, it acts on what you are hearing and what you are seeing. Okay? So, not only do you have the big screen, the television, the films, the movies that we are watching, but we also have, radio. All right? And your mind can perceive and conceive thoughts and beliefs and ideas that way as well. All right? Now, know this. It's not just what you say that affects you or your belief, but what others will speak also. All right? This is very important. So not only do your thoughts affect you, but the things that others say too. So via individual, here we go, individual. How does this affect me as an individual? Okay, others' words. So let's just say growing up, in your childhood, if somebody was to say, you're dumb, you're never going to be anything, or if a parent says, you're just like your uncle so-and-so and he was an alcoholic and he, whatever the case may be. If someone has spoken those things over you and you believe them, then your subconscious mind has accepted that to be true concerning yourself. And then you will begin to act out what has been spoken concerning you. All right? Be it good or bad. If somebody says, oh, you're just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. You're so smart. You are a world changer. You're going to do great things. If somebody is saying those things about you, it affects you the same way. You will begin to accept that and begin to act out on that thought that your subconscious mind has accepted. All right? So it's easy. It's easy to accept someone else's suggestion for your life. All right? And here's another example. There was a school teacher, and she taught math. She taught math. And, she had high expectations for her students. All right? She had high expectations for them. She expected them to do well. And so she carried that energy when it came to, assigning things to them, doing their homework, to her helping them. She expected them to do their best. And guess what? They met her expectations. They performed at the level of which her expectations were put on them. Okay? So, she did the math, and, the students, for the other teachers, the students might not have did so well. But that's because they did not have the expectations that she did. They did not carry out the same energy that they did, that she did with the other students. And so that's why they did well, because of her expectations for them. So it's so easy for others also to put their suggestions upon you. So just be mindful about that. That's why it's so important to be aware of the people that are around you. Be aware of the things that you are consuming. Because in all aspects, whatever your mind conceives, and your mind can conceive a thought through repetition and, how it affects you emotionally in your beliefs, to the point that you will then live out that thought, be it good or bad, in your life. All right. And another thing, this is also why it's important to treat people, not just with kindness, but to treat them as if they ought to be. So just because you see a person right now, who's not really, living a good life, whatever, your definition of that is, okay, because that can have several meanings for different people. Or, let's just say they're not living out their best self, at a certain point in life. Well, by you treating that person according to what they have the capability of becoming, eventually they will begin to live out that. That is possible, and that's what this teacher did for her students. And in the same way, someone else's thoughts can be impressed upon you is the same way that the media impresses thoughts upon our minds, right? Concerning the people that we interact with on a day-to-day basis, concerning where society is, concerning, what may happen in this country the next, 3 to 4 years. The same way that a thought can be impressed upon you is the same way in which the media operates. So, short example, because I'm not going to go deep, as I said before, I'm just providing you the framework this evening. Tomorrow we're going to go in depth on what is actually occurring to us. But let's just take, for instance, this past election. Most of what we heard, or that was in the headlines, was build the wall, build the wall, build the wall, make America great again, make America great again, immigration, and I think maybe there was a little bit of talk on, legalization of marijuana and, other things. But one of the things that I remember, and you tell me what you remember, okay? For me, I remember this terrorism, Muslims are terrorists, and, we need to build a wall to keep out the immigrants. That's what I remember the most, because that is what was circulated through every single news channel, right? That they were identifying a certain group of people to be, extreme terrorists, and we need to be afraid, and they don't need to be here. So much so to the point that everybody was afraid. It was just that easy. All they had to do was say it and keep repeating, regardless of what you knew about these people, regardless of what you knew about their religion, regardless of what you knew about where they come from, why they were here, what their goals were, what they wanted to accomplish here in this country, the fact that they had families, the fact that they had been here years, none of that mattered, because all you heard was, identifiers to a certain group of people, claiming them to be terrorists, and we need to get them out. That's the power of media, to the point that now you're going out to the grocery store, and I know you guys saw the videos where, there would be some people, out, and they would see Hispanics, and they would just be so nasty to these people. Just so nasty, not even knowing if they were actual citizens or not. But because you identified a skin color to be an immigrant, all right, that's what Donald Trump and media did for us, all right, then, you're not wanting to have interaction with this person, or your interaction is negative. That's how the media infiltrated an idea, or put a concept in your mind, and how it infiltrated and manifested in your life. To every single person that you saw, you thought they were a terrorist, or you thought they were, an immigrant and they need to get out. That is what I'm trying to break down and get everyone to see, because whether we actually know it or not, or believe it or not, the American people were actually played. We were played. And we're still being played. And if we don't wake up, and if we don't realize what is happening, then we will continue to get played. Because many of us are just walking in a state of unconsciousness, to the point that we're not even aware of what's going on. There's so much going on, and we're so desensitized that, when we do see something, it doesn't even matter, because we've seen so much already. That is the power of the media, all right? And another thing, one of the reasons why Trump did end in office, I believe, according to research and some different studies, you will see that people who are less educated, be it concerning, politics and how things are done, an actual candidate, things that actually mattered because, we were not aware of those things, then our attention was easily taken away from what was important, put on something that was invaluable, not as important, and we were literally played. And you'll notice that was happened because the same people that thought that he was going to make America great again, that he was going to do this, and oh yes, he's the perfect person, he's the perfect businessman, not knowing anything about this man's background or history or his personality whatsoever, how he would treat people, how he looked at society, the well-being or whatever the case may be. They voted for him. And then when they saw, or, the real Donald Trump showed up, right? When he showed up, then everybody is disappointed. Everybody's like, oh, what happened? When you are most impressionable, when you are the least aware of what is going on. Okay? Your mind, when it comes to the media, you are most impressionable whenever it comes to your awareness, your level of awareness. So just keep that in mind. And so from the perspective of stereotypes and generalizations, as I was saying earlier, how, we had stereotyped, a group of people to be, terrorists and immigrants based on what was being portrayed about them on the media. Some of us either have friends, or some of us are, belong to those religions or to those groups, right? So let's just say if, you repeatedly see an image of, someone that looks like you, someone from your community, if you continue to see, a certain image of them repeatedly, then you are going to accept that to be true about your people, about the people that look like you, maybe even yourself. Okay? So there are several different stereotypes that the media likes to portray of certain groups of people, mainly minorities, different groups of minorities, as being, uneducated or, looters, just worthless. Okay, if we be honest about it, the media has done that repeatedly over and over and over again. And so we see these images repeatedly to the point that people who are outside of these groups believe that to be true. And not only that, but the people who are being identified begin to accept that to be true for themselves and for their communities, and for the people, that look like them. And here's a thought. And like I said, there's so many ways that this can be pulled from in terms of, actuality and reality and, things that affect it. But if somebody else can literally say something concerning you, all right, and you believe it, it's like, where is your power? Where is your will? All right? Now, as I said before, when it comes to, a certain group of people, certain things have been taken from groups, from races, from nations, to the point that they don't have an identity, or they feel that they don't have an identity. All right? And so that makes this concept a little bit trickier. But however, from the standpoint of somebody just speaking something about you, all right, that just verifies or validates the kind of mind that you have. Your mind is weak. Your mind is not strong. You really don't understand the power of your mind when you can accept somebody else's thought or what somebody else has to say about you, and to believe it to be true for you and your life, for your community, and for your nation. All right? Only those who are strong-willed will act outside of the stereotypes, will act outside of the generalizations. All right? Will act outside the coupling factors that are being put on you. Only strong-willed people will do that. And like I said, the education, the knowledge plays a big part, because if you are not knowledgeable, all right? So if I told you that you were nothing but a thief, all right? But really you were a king and you didn't know that. You didn't know that. You didn't have that knowledge. You didn't have that mindset. Then I can fool you to believe that you are a robber. And once you accept that, then that's how you're going to act. That's going to be made manifest in your life. That's going to infiltrate your life, all right? And so you may begin to show the behaviors and the characteristics of a robber. However, if I told you that you were a king, however, I called you a robber, but you knew that you were a king, then it couldn't deter you. It couldn't touch you, all right? The thought couldn't infiltrate you. It couldn't hold you. It couldn't bind you. And see, what we see is a lot of us, because of the media and the things that we see, and the way that we are being portrayed, the way that we are being fed, terrible news. A lot of us, believe these things. We believe these things. And like I said, at the end of this series, I'm hoping to provide you, or to bring awareness to your mind to the point that you are able to decipher what is real and what is not for your life. Okay? So, and with the same thought, let's just say you have a goal. For those of you who are on, let's just say you have a goal to be a successful business person. And I tell you that no, you cannot be a successful business person. If you're a strong person, you're going to block that. That has nothing to do with this. And you'll continue to accept your belief about you're going to be a successful business person, and then you'll be able to manifest that, and that will appear in your life. But if you are not strong-willed, and I tell you that no, you are not going to be a successful business person, then guess what happens with your thought and the thought that is opposing yours? Guess what produces from that? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. If anything, frustration comes from that. Confusion comes from that. And that's what we see a lot when people who don't know who they are. All right? Who don't know who they are, or know that they have the power to change their environment, to change their surroundings. And even, now, if there are any frustration concerning, what it is that you see about, your surroundings, you have the power to change that. You have the power to change that. As I mentioned, not only what it is that you say is important, or what's being spoken against you or on you, but also the things that you hear. Also the things that you hear, all right? So, and that, again, that goes back to the things that are being said about you. So let's go back to TV and radio a little bit, all right? As I said before, based on the stereotypes that you see in the media, that's how you're going to interact with people, based on what you see. You may have never met this group of people ever in your entire life, but based on what you see about, based on what Fox News said about these people, and the specific stories that are being circulated, that's what you're going to think, and that's how you're going to interact with them. You're not. And you're going to have a false perception of who these people are. The same thing with radio, all right? If you hear, let's take song lyrics, for example, all right? And I think I have something to play, right? So, if you hear a certain song over and over again, and that's what's going on. I don't even know if, how many of us are aware of that, but some of these stations, they literally play the same song over and over and over again, and it's by design. They're playing it over and over again. And sometimes you can go back from one and the other, and they'll be playing the same song at the same time. This is, not to be taken lightly. Everything has a purpose and everything has a plan behind it. So here's a song. I have this right here, right? I think this is something that's really popular. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Can you hear that? Okay. This is Future. Mask Off. And he's talking about Molly Percocet. That's what he's talking about. Molly Percocet. Chase a check. Okay? Listen. Okay? That's what he's talking about. Now, if you hear that song over and over and over and over and over again, Molly Percocet, gotta chase a check. If you hear that over and over again, guess what? It's going to take effect. It's going to, be birthed here in your mind. All right? It's going to become true in your mind. All right? Molly Percocet. Hey, you might even try one. I don't know how strong-willed y'all are. But for the ones who are not, it's going to have an effect on them. All right? For the ones who are not strong-willed, it's going to have an effect on them. And here's another example. The effect, look at how it affects our youth. Right? These types of things. And it makes me so sad because I see our children and they're walking around playing outside or riding the little, I don't know what those things are called. But they're on them and they have their speakers and they're listening to these lyrics that are saying Molly Percocet, gotta chase a check. Probably ain't even able to work, but they trying to chase a check. Doing what? You see what I'm saying? So, these things can easily affect us. And it doesn't take long. You hear something a couple times and your mind will repeat it. You wouldn't even have to hear the song again, but your mind will recall it. And if it recalls it enough and if you say it enough, then you'll accept it. Your subconscious mind accepts that to be true. And as we said in the beginning, your subconscious mind will accept that to be true, and then that will become manifest in your mind. All right? Here's something else. Here's another a song that I have. So from the context of, somebody who is, living in a certain environment where they see these things that they are hearing. If that is the environment that they see, guess how much more impressionable that is on their mind and for it to be manifested in their life. Okay? And I'm going to say this. For some of us, for African Americans, for Africans living in America, for blacks, however you want to identify yourself, it can be much more impressionable because we see, the people that are singing these songs, they look like us, all right? So then we become to think that, okay, this is a way of life, this is the life, all right? And if I'm not living it, then, I'm not this or I'm not that. And that's not true. But that is, a perception that is being put on to our minds, all right? Now, you can be in those environments and hear something positive and it affects you or either go against what it is that you actually see around you, so much so that you can manifest, the opposite of it. The mind is a powerful thing. It is a powerful thing, all right? So, a lot of people are into hip hop. A lot of people love rap music. So it's not just African Americans that are listening to this. A lot of Hispanics, a lot of Hispanics, a lot of whites are listening to this. Italians, Russians, Germans, whoever. A lot of other people are listening to this. But guess what? It doesn't too much affect them. They think it's funny or it's just, cool for them, right? To listen to it, to be riding around. It's just cool because it does not affect them the way that it affects us because their surroundings might not look like what ours do, okay? So, you could be in the projects, you could be in the hood. However, your mind is so powerful to the point that if you hear something like this, I'm going to play this song. So you heard Future earlier. If you hear something like this, I don't know if you guys can hear this. As long as you keep your head to the sky, you can win, right? And do you see how I kind of like perked up a little bit, right? So I'm really feeling this, right? My subconscious mind has accepted that I believe this as long as I keep my head to the sky, I can win, right? Here's how powerful your mind is. You can be in, as Donald Trump said, you know, the S-hole countries, the S-hole states, you know, impoverished conditions, you know, in the projects, in the hood with, you know, negative things around you. But if you hear something like that, if you feed your mind something like that, guess what? Your mind can accept that as long as you continue to feed it on that same level, all right? As long as the people that you hang around, okay, are thinking on the same level, all right? That's why earlier I said it's very important who you hang around, how you consume and spend your time, because all of these things affect you. All of it affects you. And so for some minds, it is this concept, this simple concept that whatever you think and whatever you believe to be true will show up and appear. That simple concept is so hard for some people to believe or to accept. And as I mentioned earlier, it's because some of our minds have been, you know, we've been trained. Honestly, we've been trained to think a certain way. We've been trained to operate out of a lack mentality, you know, a can't mentality. It's not possible, you know, mentality. But something as simple as that, something as simple as that task in, you know, seeing the images that confirm the thought, you know, that confirm the positive thinking. It's easy for that thing to come to pass. And when it does, you know, then it's your reality. All right. Also, something else that I want to bring to your mind or your attention or confirm again is that your subconscious mind, it accepts whatever your conscious mind decrees. All right. Whatever your conscious mind says, whatever your conscious mind thinks, your subconscious accepts that. It's not going to argue. It's not going to argue with the conscious mind. And like I said before, it's so much easier to manifest something when you're in a relaxed state because you don't have anything blocking that thought. All right. Now, I had posted something earlier, and I'm going to read it to you guys again. The way in which we perceive the world shapes the way in which we interact with it. The choices we make, and ultimately what we define as real. What we define as real. And there are so many things that are happening that we have accepted to be true in our mind based on the things that we are seeing in the media to be true, and it's not. All right? So I'm setting the framework, I'm setting the groundwork for you guys tonight. But listen, tomorrow, y'all gonna get this knowledge. Y'all gonna get this work. All right? Tomorrow, Dr. Rick Wallace is going to be joining me Wednesday night and Thursday night at 7 p.m. And we're going to go deeper with this so that you understand, you know, what is happening, what's going on, so that you can choose to live outside of what's being put on you to be reality when it's not. Just take a step back. Like I said, just turn the TV off a little while, all right? You have the power to choose good health. You have the power to choose happiness, all right? You have the power to, you know, to choose success, to choose balance, to be in harmony. Your mind has the power to do that. All right, and I touched on it a little bit this evening so that, you guys have the framework. So when we go into it tomorrow, you can be able to apply what was spoken on tonight to the concepts that we're going to bring to you tomorrow. But understand, and I heard someone say this this week, understand that, life is all about decisions. It's all about choices. All right. And regardless if you make one for yourself or not, one is still being carried out. Something is still happening, be it positive or be it negative. All right. But, so many of us are living in an unconscious state. We're unaware. We're so desensitized. We have no clue when we see stuff. It's gotten to the point to where we're just like, we just see it and we just, going about our business. All right. And that is an unconscious state. And that's what the media has done to us. If you recall the scene that I had told you about earlier from the scene of Get Out, when that woman was sitting there hypnotizing him at the beginning and he was at the end of the table, he was in a state of unconsciousness. All right. And so that's how, all these things, that's how they were able to take over his mind. And so I want you guys to be healthy. I want you to take control of your mind. I want you to be able to live your best life. But you can only do that with a freed mind, with a different mentality. All right? You have the power to take back your life. Listen, I hope that, this was informative for you guys. And I'm hoping that you come back tomorrow. I'm so happy that you decided to spend your evening with me, right? Because I know it's kind of late. But I finished. I wasn't on here too long, an hour. That's good. But like I said, tomorrow, Dr. Rick Wallace is going to be joining me, as well as Thursday night at 7 p.m. sharp. Okay, y'all come on in, because we're going to get started and we're going to break this down for you so that you can have a better awareness, a better sense of what is going on, and give you some knowledge, foundational knowledge, some framework to be able to decide and make decisions around your life as to what it is that you are seeing that is real and what it is that you are seeing that is fake, so that you can then act from what it is that is real and live a happy and a healthy life. All right, listen, I'm out. Thanks for joining me tonight. I hope you guys have a great morning. I'll see you again tomorrow at 7. Peace.